Well, first of all, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Great.
So we're talking about cloud computing. Let's kick it straight off. The IACP's done a survey on cloud computing and its uptake amongst law enforcement. Give us a flavour of that.
Absolutely. We did a survey last year of both IACP and Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. And what we found was over half of those who responded to the survey indicated they had either already implemented cloud or they were looking seriously and planning to implement it in the next couple of years. And they're really trying to implement it for a variety of different applications, from email to offsite storage to even more operational systems like records management and analytic software. So we think there's a real uptake and a real opportunity, and agencies saw cost savings as an enormous value to cloud computing, as well as the flexibility to be able to expand their cloud services dynamically. So those were some of the benefits.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's get straight into agency applications. So what's your experience on the ground?
Well, we're really just now venturing into the cloud computing area, and it's more of an extension of our data center. Instead of actually building physical infrastructure, power, electricity, all the different air conditioning, cooling, everything that comes with it, it's an outsourced kind of a situation, or a managed service where I can go to a provider and I can get either application servers, storage servers, whatever my need might be. And the advantage to me, obviously, is it's someplace else, it's less expensive for me, the price has really come down, and it's secure. A lot of the providers now truly meet the CJIS standards, the Criminal Justice Information Services standards, which is very, very important. And actually, the FBI CJIS process makes it very easy for you to determine if a cloud provider is, in fact, CJIS qualified, for lack of a better term, because you can take the CJIS policies kind of as a checklist and follow down those CJIS policies to see if this provider truly meets some of those CJIS responsibilities.
What difference does it make to the officers involved?
They never notice the difference at all. The officers don't see a difference. They typically access their systems, and it either comes into our data center or it goes up to the cloud via various network activity.
Now, we always think of the private sector as being way out in ahead with all latest technological development, and cloud computing is such. What's the private sector take on this right now?
Oh, the private sector has shifted almost entirely to a cloud-based model. I mean, all the cloud is really, it's a terminology for delivering technology over the internet. So law enforcement, for example, typically they don't write their own software programs, they get them from private vendors, but today they show up on a disk in a box with a manual. The cloud just means you connect directly to your vendors so that they're delivering that technology online. As the other speakers pointed out, that means typically much lower cost and much faster updates, so that things, instead of being updated every few years, are updated maybe every few days. So we've seen in the private sector, for example, in banking, we've all moved to online banking. Well, that's the cloud. Travel, we all book through online travel agencies now. And we believe that law enforcement is heading in the same direction, just because really that's where the world of technology is going.
Give us an example of where law enforcement is doing this.
At TASER, we've built a system called Evidence.com that we've got about 2,000 agencies on, where they can, it's sort of like iTunes for police, where instead of an agency having to build and manage a data center, they can actually just plug in and we actually host the data for them. And that enables, particularly for smaller agencies that don't have the personnel. I mean, most agencies don't even have somebody who's got a background in data security. And if you don't have somebody who's got a background in data security and you're running systems on site, you're at risk. So the cloud allows you to consolidate thousands of agencies together, and the economies of scale that come in, now all of a sudden people who couldn't afford the types of services around security and data integrity, now they can, because it's being shared across thousands of agencies together.
And that's really exactly what we're doing. We're looking at the regionalization in our area of all the different law enforcement agencies to provide cloud services such as email, such as working with documents, all up in the cloud and all sharing the cost as a managed service, so that we can all have.
But Dave, let's pick up on one of the points that came out of the survey, which was this is all very well and good, it saves money, it's efficient, but people are worried about security. By definition, if it's up in the cloud, if it's over the internet, how secure is it?
It actually, I think it enhances the security for lots of agencies, because the cloud service providers are much more secure. 3/4 of the 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States have fewer than 25 officers. half of them have fewer than 10 officers, and maintaining security in those very small systems with no central systems administrator is a real challenge, and I think the service providers are able to provide that level of security.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. We could have talked about it all day, but thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.